everybody, it is Lizzie again from Urban Art Space, and I'm here again this week to show you guys another craft that you can do in your house. So this craft is a knit tie rug. This is a very small version of it. It's just my test piece, but all you need to do this activity is a pair of scissors and some old t-shirts. And that's all you're gonna need to get started, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. First things first, you need to cut up some t-shirts. I selected a bunch of shirts that I had left in my old bedroom with colors that I liked. So I've got pinks, I've got a few different colors of gray, one nice blue, and a lot of whites. And so you don't really need that many t-shirts to get started. You're gonna start with just 2 pieces, but it's easier to cut everything all at once. I know it's a bit zoomed in, please bear with me as none of us are quite set up for a studio environment right now. But what you're gonna do first is you are going to cut the top right off. So I just do that in a straight line right underneath the armholes. Toss that, you don't need it anymore. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut along one side. I just cut it right off because I find the seam annoying. You could just cut it right down the middle, but you're losing like a centimeter of fabric. So you can just chop that right off. And leave it folded over for now. You can cut through both sides of the fabric at once to make life a little bit easier. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna cut this into strips. The thickness of the strip is really up to you. When I originally did this, I would say it was about 3 fingers wide. I am purposely choosing to do mine a lot thinner for this project because I want a more tightly woven rug or blanket. I'm planning to make mine into a blanket. So depending on how fast you want it to go, if it's a thicker strip, it's gonna go a lot faster. You're gonna have a lot fluffier of a piece. If you want a more tightly woven piece, you're gonna wanna do thinner strips. So I'm not going crazy thin because when you pull this, it does kind of thin out itself as well. But I'm gonna do strips just like this. And they don't need to be perfect by any means. So now we have one more important step before these are finished off. We need to put a hole in either end of the strip. So I purposely left mine folded over how they were originally cut. So that way I could just take them and fold those 2 pieces over once more and do one small cut. And then that way when I unravel the entire piece, I have a hole on either end. So I'm gonna do that with all of my strips right now. It's a lot easier to just do it at once at the beginning. And then these will be ready to go. So now that my pink strips are all done, I'm gonna go ahead and make one gray set and one white set. While I'm here, that way I have a few nice colors to work with to get started. I have a lot more grays and whites than I do pink or blue, so I'm gonna be using mostly gray and white as I get going. You wanna start with at least 2 colors because it'll be a lot easier for you to see what you're doing. So I have all my piles made, and I made my gray and my white stripes, which I'm gonna start with. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start with 2 pieces. So I'm gonna move this one down for a minute. We're gonna take this first piece and just kind of make it like a U or a V shape. And I'm gonna set it so that the point where it turns sets it so that they're at different lengths here. And I'll show you why that is in a minute, but make them kind of uneven. And I'm gonna do the same thing with my gray piece. So I'm gonna take that, and you're not gonna twist them or anything. You're just gonna make another U shape. And again, making sure all of the lengths are different. So I've got one real short one here. And laying it just on top. So now what I'm going to do is start the braid. So what you're gonna do is I'm gonna kind of turn this to face me.
is you're going to take your rightmost piece, and it's a little bit tricky at the beginning, but I promise once you get this started, it is so easy. So you're going to take your first piece and you're going to go under, over, under. So right now that's real loose, and I'm just going to pull that nice and tight up there and make that a nice tight knot. And now that piece is at the very end, and I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to take my rightmost piece and I'm going to go under, over, under. And again, now that those are kind of woven, I'm going to hold this and pull it up. It's going to look a little messy at first, but you'll start to see the pattern in just a minute here. So I'm going to do that a few more times, and then I'll show you the next step. So now that I have this nice little braid here, what I'm going to do is I am going to make it a U and just kind of line those up next to each other. So it's not going to stay like that for the moment, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one more piece and I'm going to do another stitch. Under, over, under, tighten that up and make that U again. This is my first stitch here, and I am going to take this piece and I'm going to weave it right through. So I'm putting mine in from the bottom and pulling it up through. That's just easier for me to see. And now my U shape is held in place. So what you're going to do now is every time that you do one of these braids or one of these knots, so going under, over, under, you're going to pull it through the next stitch that's already existent on your little rug here. So I probably made mine a little bit too big and should have made it a U sooner. So I've got this little hole in here now, but that's fine. And now I'm basically weaving this so that it's going to move around and around this piece here. So you can see that on these two strands, I'm just about out of fabric. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a new piece. I'm going to introduce a new color right now, so I'm going to add one of my pink stripes in. And those holes that we used at the beginning are going to be very useful now. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the hole on your first piece that's already woven in, and you're going to pull your new strand right through. And then that hole, you're going to take the other end of your strand and wrap it through. Then you're just going to pull all the way, and it's done. You have a new strand on. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one right now as well. I'm just going to keep that one white at the moment. So right about now as well, and the more that you move through your piece, you're going to find that as you move around this and it gets wider, you aren't going to want to go into a brand new stitch. It's too far to pull it all the way around here. You're going to have this big gap. So what you're going to do is my last woven piece, I pulled through this stitch. I'm going to go ahead and just do that again. There's no really like pattern to it exactly. It just kind of depends on the size. You might have a stitch that's particularly small, and so it only needs one woven through it. Just kind of wherever your final piece as you're going ends up, pull it through the closest stitch that's already on the rug. So, and you see these just work on right as well. As soon as you add on a new piece, you're going to find that they're much longer than original because we started with one piece folded in half. So you're going to have a lot to work with for a while here as you just pull through. And that's it. You just keep on going around and around. I'm planning to make mine into a blanket. So I'm going to make it pretty large. And at the end here, I'll see if I like this little hole I accidentally made, or you can take a sewing needle and tie that together, but it's not needed. I also really like the bottom side of mine. I think it looks a little bit nicer, so I flip it over when I'm done.
So that is pretty much it, guys. I know this is a small start here that I've got going, but it's really just the same thing over and over again. You can introduce as many colors as you want, and you can make it any size that you want. Even this, I think if I had used a little bit of a thinner cut, even a thinner strip, these could be coasters. You can use it as a rug, you can use it as a bath mat. Like I said, I'm making mine into a blanket. So really let your creativity kind of go wild with this. Again, all you need is old t-shirts, and Goodwill isn't even open right now. So you got to do something with them. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will post an update later with what this looks like when it's all done. And when you finish it off, you can just go ahead and tie the last piece on there, just make a random little knot, no one's gonna see it. You can also finish it off with tassels or really anything that you'd like. So I'm glad you guys tuned in, and I hope you guys stay inside, stay healthy, and stay safe. Thanks.